Alright, hello YouTube. Here we are streaming live. Mark from Mind's Eye Visual Guitar Technique, also known as the graph paper method, is here with you this evening to kind of reiterate the same lesson I was live earlier this evening. And now that I'm back home, I'd like to continue that, so hopefully there'll be some people around, but maybe you'll catch this on a later date. That's fine too. I gotta be a little more quiet on this one here, being that it's getting a little late here in the apartment building, and the neighbors are all getting quiet, so I don't want to be too loud. But anyways, let's get a graph going here, I guess. So here, hello, there I am on a screen here, which is how we can broadcast now. Hopefully that's helpful to you. Let's see, we're gonna use that box for our note names, so let's use this one here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frets, 7, 8, 9 frets. Should be 24 right somewhere about here. Alright. There's our bottom. Kind of hand draw this line up here to just kind of reference where you need to be at the top there. Let's double check, make sure we're at an easy way to tell if you got your 24 frets is to make sure your line ends at the 6-inch mark on your ruler, and that will give you 24 frets on a 4x4 ruled piece of normal graph paper. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and should have an equal line there for the end of our fretboard. And should do for a top line there. Superb. And you know, for my graphs, I like to make this one a little thicker. Kind of gives it a realistic look there a little bit. E, A, D, G, B, E, standard tuning for today's lesson. We need some dots to make this fretboard real deal. So we'll get our 3, 5, 7, 9, skip 2 for 12, put them at the outer edges here. Skip 2 for 15, 17, 19, 21, and 24 ski. Got it. Alright. Kabam, fretboard ready to tell us a couple things about this guitar. So, let's say, we have to make a little presumption here. I was going to try to make this easy and just make it purely pentatonic, but in some cases it wouldn't be foolproof. And I don't want to teach you something that would work sometimes but leave you stuck other times. So we got to go a little more complex to teach you what I'm going to teach you. You're going to need to know a couple things. So if you get hung up at any point in this lesson, it just simply means one of two things. You either have to ask a question in the comments below. Please do. I love getting questions, suggesting, new video material, whatever. Beautiful thing. Or check out my other videos for, where you'll probably actually find an answer for whatever it was that flew over your head. But aside from that, let's start off by, first of all, what are we trying to do? Well, I'm going to make an assumption that you're a pentatonic player and you know the typical pentatonic box, the blues box here, 1-4, 1-4, 1-3, 1-3, 1-3, 1-4, 1-4. Here we are in the picture-in-picture box here. Should sound familiar to everyone, the pentatonic box. Well, here we are playing it at the E 12th fret. So, with the C note ringing, it's taking that pentatonic and suggesting that that it's the key of E minor. With just those 5 notes, it's E minor pentatonic, and we're going to expand on that today and actually turn it into a scale. Now, we need to basically fill in the gut notes of the pentatonic in the big box at the bottom, the 1-4, 1-4. So let's map out the pentatonic first here. Just give you a general, we'll start shading in some boxes here. On E, we have 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, and 3 on all these strings. You see me almost messed all that up? Oh yeah. And just a simple another one here and the 1-4 there. If you know your pentatonic and you know your graph paper method, there it is. You know how to make all that happen. We want to turn this into a scale. We need to add in the gut notes here and some outside notes here. And what we're going to do is use the Aeolian scale to start with today. No, you know what? Take that back. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start with Dorian. Okay, yeah, I'm going to use the Dorian scale. Now, am I suggesting that I'm going to play in Dorian? Well, not necessarily. That'll depend on whatever's going on with the band you're playing, what I'm going to teach you against, right? That'll be a different concept, but I'm going to use the term Aeolian scale not to suggest that we're playing in Aeolian, but to give you a reference shape, because let's say like we agreed on Dorian has a different shape from Aeolian. You should watch one of my other videos about I can't remember what I called them. I don't know, but it's just the ones if you search by date, it was the ones I did just before these videos. One with major, one with minor, how to take the pentatonic and make it minor, major, whatever. How to find the modes. Oh, it would just, hold on, okay, this is getting way confusing because this is really hard to explain, and especially when you don't use the script and you just start going live. And you have nobody asking any questions, you're just trying to ramble on about stuff off the top of your head. This gets a little confusing pretty easily. So, let me just kind of backtrack here. We're using Aeolian just as a reference for a scale. So an Aeolian scale, as you know, uses the pentatonic framework and adds on some gut notes. The gut notes go inside the large part here and on the outside of the, this 3 by 3 square. pretty easy. We for Aeolian, that's our balanced scale. If you watch my other lesson where I show you how to balance it, but it's weird. I got Aeolian on the brain. I keep on going back to it, but what did we agree on? We agreed on Dorian, right? So let's see if I can erase this. If not, I just horribly screwed everything up. Yeah, look at that. We're fucked. Awesome. Everything goes good on live videos. You can put in the comments if you'd rather see more edited videos where I take all these mistakes and edit them out. Can I make it invisible? Invisible. Alright. Best we can do. We meant to do this. Alright. So Dorian Scale, if we fill in these two here, then we hang our other notes easy on the outside and we make a square block. Or you can even fill in the scale up there, but that's not what I'm going to teach you today. All you needed to do is know your Dorian scale. So if perhaps you're playing in a song and you can identify a pentatonic scale, what you want to do is try experiment with the gut notes here and try to find out if it's using if the pentatonic you found is using the Aeolian shape, which is this note and this note, or the Dorian shape, which is this note and this note. So Aeolian with this note and this note, also this note and that note. Dorian is what you see here. So if you found Aeolian, you'll see later on what I show you here, how to just reverse engineer in case you find that the gut notes are for Aeolian in the scale you chose. But let's say you found out that this is what plugged in. Not only did you find your pentatonic that matches the sounds of your song, seems to work over all the melodies and everything, and most songs will have a pentatonic somewhere on the fretboard, most something you want to improvise over that's modal, using one of the major scale modes, Dorian, Phrygian, whatever. This will work for all modal music, all modal jamming, all modal improv. When you want to stay inside the scale, when you want to go outside the scale, you'll just use one of the white notes that are not shaded in. But anyways, that's probably something you won't be doing as a beginner anyways. You just want to start riffing around and using more of your fretboard. That's what we're even talking about today, how to take one chunk of the fretboard. Most of us in the beginning, we'll learn the pentatonic and then maybe we can build a scale out of it, but this is still like all we know in a jam session. We can jam over that and that'll get us 16 bars, and you can maybe milk it for 32, but you start getting pretty limited and boring sounding if you can't walk up here with your solo and then from there surprisingly go down here and back there and across, or way back here and up and down and way back there, whatever. Now, that all being said, there are going to be some professional guitarists, people who've got their own way through how they improvise, looking at that thinking, well, what are you talking about, man? I never think about the direction I'm going. I'm thinking about notes. I'm thinking about playing on chords, chord tones, and I know the chords of the moment bouncing around the neck. I'm not telling you not to think like that. That's awesome and very good to think like that. Thinking like I'm showing you here by just kind of riffing around by going places and listening to the notes you're playing and feeling which way you want to go, and it gets me by. It gets me through any amount of bars someone throws at me that where they want me to jam. And what I'm playing over is staying mostly or completely like usual in one pattern of notes, one scale, like it usually is. Even if it changes, it doesn't get that hard after a while. So it works for me to make a meaningful solo, even kind of using my ear to guide me to chord tones, while once you know you can lock into every single note of the scale everywhere, at any given time, if you hit one note that's not on a chord tone, it's in between the chord tones, so it's one proper step away. You should be hitting a chord tone, so you can just use your ear. You'll start to resolve better and better without necessarily having to know exactly where the chord tones are happening at any given moment. Now, as you step into more of a jazz realm, that's where that will get very important, and a lot more theory dynamics that you'll hear talked about on some very, very incredibly good music instruction channels that are out there. Mainly, most specifically, Adam Neely and probably Frank Beato would be two people you could take what you learn here and start really understanding their advanced concepts, because you started with a very solid framework that I'm helping you build here. Because it's as solid as this, put these blocks in your mind, blockhead, because you'll get better and better. That's what I did, and I can go on their channel and, let me tell you, these guys are advanced. They know their shit, so they'll still talk if you're not really as schooled as they are, they'll, easily leave you kind of going, wow, I better do some research on what they just said. But, you'll still be able to follow along. And anyways, I guess it's not what I'm talking about. And I don't know why I started advertising for other people's channels, but they're pretty good, and I do appreciate those guys, the work that they do. Well, so you should check out their channels. Adam Neely and Frank Beato, and of course David Wallyman. I think he's cool too. What are the guitar teachers I like? Well, guitar teachers, there's like a Marty dude, he's pretty cool. There's a couple other people I can't name, and then there's another bassist dude, Scott's Bass Lessons, pretty good. Of course, really good. One or two more. But anyways, so who's it? Jens Larson, something like that. Some dude from some other country has got some pretty interesting stuff. He's always uploading onto YouTube. Well, anyways, we got this stuff here that we're doing. You want to get to, you're here in the scale now, so you've identified your riffing around, and your song is hear how that signature note here sounds good against that dominant 7th chord, the A, because that's in the key that the E minor Dorian scale comes from. But anyways, if that just went over your head, don't worry, you don't need to know all that, but that's the type of stuff you will know once you start studying up and making the graph paper make music theory easy. Want a specific lesson on what I just told you? Just ask for it. So moving on down the road here, what we'd like to know is, what about this area of the fretboard? How can we get started getting finding our way over there pretty easily? And what that'll do is, once you actually get a hold of that, jamming becomes so much more interesting to you. You'll get really familiar with that. You'll be able to easily fill in the gut notes in between what you're playing now. So let's get started. Let's know a secret code here. I'm going to draw you something right here. I'm going to put a 4 here and a 4 here and a 3 here and a 3 here, because that's how I initially learned this. But you could, I'll show you how in a second. You could even use a 2 and a 1. So like it would be how this is 3 and 4. You could actually use the 2 and the 1. It's just the greater number here in this diagonal, and in this diagonal it's 3 and 3. Now, why the hell would we even think that? Well, let me show you another code here. This appears on a piano keyboard when you look at all the white keys, and clearly people say, yeah, all the white keys are the key of C. Well, okay, so it makes a major key. A major key appears as on any instrument using 12 keys for the 12 notes. A major scale always looks like this. It's do, re, mi, and then there's a half step between mi and fa, and that half step is very, very important to what I'm about to tell you. So we've got, let's say this is do, re, mi, 1, 2, and 3, then fa, so, la, ti. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 notes. So we have 3 notes joined up with a half step to the 4-note pattern. That's very, very, very important to just memorize that simplest little dumb thing. That 3 always butts up to the 4, never changes. Alright, now here's the next magic that seals up this 4. If we did another half step here, or whole step, that would be make it 5, and it's not 5, it's 4, so we seal that up with another half step, and guess what that half step is? That's this first note here. You're at the 13th fret here, so you've got the octave happening, the C there, 1, 2, 3, and then you would be back at a half step. So we've got the 24th fret, we've got the 12th fret, look at that. Half fret at the 12th, half fret at the 24th, lined up. What do you know? So let's backtrack this. We've got our beginning of our 4 pattern here, so we've got our 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we go a half step, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we go a half step, 1, 2, 3, and it continues on and on. Now, on one string, that's the major scale on one string. Just always move 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll always recognize this one, the part just before or after the half step is a very common move you're so used to playing in so many songs. Okay, that was a little Stairway to Heaven melody thing, but right here. One, three, four. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. You're very used to playing that. Anyways, it's the bottom of the Dorian scale. So that being said, you've got this pattern. It's shiftable anywhere on any fret. You can start that pattern, and one key, which one of these is the root note? It's very, very easy to understand. You have 2 choices. It can be one of the notes in the 3 group and one of the notes in the 4 group. Well, let's remember we started with the 3 group at do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. So the do, re, mi, the do is the, do, re, mi, the do is the root. So that is the root note, the first of the 3. Okay? So in our square, box of square here where we put 3 and 3, well, here's the beginning of our 3. Here's the end of our 3. So at the beginning of our 3, 1, 2, 3, this is always the root note, which you should also know from the graph paper method that in the box pattern it never changes that this is the root note, the Ionian, the major of the major scale. Right here, this box, the lower right hand corner box in the visual here, is always the root. Okay, so this is the one. We know we have 1, 2, 3 coming from here. Now see how I wrote a 4 there? Because this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's why you could put a 2 there, because here you're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and you're going to be back in a half step area. That's going to be key for what the next thing we talk about. So here you're at 1, 2, 3. So, or you could put a 1 there, because from this block, you skip one note and you're back in a block. Since we're back in a block, we're going to make that next one a half step. And if you just notice that this pattern made up the Aeolian scale bottom of a pentatonic, you better believe that we can very easily add in these notes, knowing full well that they are in our scale and totally playable. And kabam kaboom, what do you know? You have just quickly increased your knowledge of the fretboard, but there's more here. Not only did you just give yourself a bigger playing field, and remember, I'm about to fill this in behind this scale too, because what works forward here also works backwards to get to the exact same Aeolian shape here, just the octave down. And once you're here, you can kind of know, okay, well, here I am at the 1, 2, 3 on the third dot after the octave. So I can basically start this scale. Another way to think about it is the scale, the note here is a whole step down from the E note here. So we just go back to where we were at this scale and know that at a whole step down from the E, we have the Aeolian scale. Now, right now, if you're like, hey, that's not lining up with the top dots that you made, looks like a mess up there. No, I just put these dots here because it on the screen here it was going next to this box here. But this pattern here is the there's the 1, 2, 3, so this is the root right here. Let me color it in a little differentially here, a little differently. Oops, I want this one here for our 1, 2, 3. So we know this is our parent scale root. You can play a chord from any of these tones and the song can change modes. Or it can just change the reflection of all the notes against, the chord, but this will work for chords built within the scale system. Okay, so but it's helpful to know where the parent key note is, which is there. And gonna be here. And gonna be here. Okay, so we get this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern. We could fill in the whole fretboard doing this, but all we need to know in the beginning is this. This is your pathway string right here. This E string right here. So if I've got my, say, my Dorian scale on the 12th fret here, there's my pick. Try to get you guys a good camera angle here, best I can. Kind of not really working there, but what the hell. So I can always go up to the top pathway string here. And just like that, I'm in my other shape. Getting more mileage out of the fretboard here. got to the half step here on a 3. So there's a 4. This half step's the 4. And after the 4, I messed up a little bit there, but anyways, I'm off camera anyways, so that doesn't really matter. But what I'll draw it back on this board, what I did was just basically, whenever your improv calls for you to be going away from that little home base place, just hammer on down your transition string there, and you can scale along the bottom and work up into these other pentatonic shapes to give you more area to play with on the fretboard, and get a couple other timbers, do a couple other tricks. You can do these for hammer-on patterns on the board. You can make up your own as you go, and this is, the cool thing about learning this way is, you learn the definite definition of all the pattern on the fretboard, but then you can be you. It doesn't lock you into, like music theory doesn't turn you into some kind of robot or something. You get to still pick what you like to do. You can make, maybe you see arpeggios here and stuff like that, and that's what you like to play and whatever, so you can still be you. Anyways, let's get on down this way. Pretty basically, we know to just build our scale based on the third dot from the sun there. So 1, 2, 3 stands to reason we should start building there. And what do you know? Here's the other front half of our pentatonic scale. So if we know that that's there, we also know that that's the root. That means we have a box right here. We also know that our pentatonic involves going down here and a note right here, but it's the Aeolian, so we're going to use this note back here. And of course that note down there to create the big 4 box of the pentatonic, right? And then we're here. And we know Aeolian hangs a note on the back. You know what? I always thought of that. You know what? This is going to sound dumb as hell probably, but and you guys, you young people won't know this either, but if you're old like me, you remember, all the commercials that plastered toys into your brain in your youth, and one of them was Mr. Potato Head. And this little kind of plain old square shape just reminds, that's a Mr. Potato Head, and you just gotta, the deal with Mr. Potato Head is you gotta hang his eyes and hang his ears on, and here you hang the ears here you might hang the ears there and there, put 2 ears on one side of Mr. Potato Head's head and have a laugh as a 6-year-old, Okay, I was rambling, right? You can not think of that as Mr. Potato Head, but if you do, well, you're having some fun there. Anyways, look at what we just expanded. We got this whole fretboard opened up and working our way down the fretboard with a happy feeling inside. Okay, so if we were to go down, basically we know that we've got a Dorian shape hanging out on the E fret, starting at the E fret. So, that basically, you can just think about, well, you don't even have to, travel down the string this way. It's starting on E, so basically your every open note is in the scale. And that just tells us what to do here, but we'll go the way I'm teaching you here. So we have a 1, 2, 3, so this is a 4, so we have a 1, 2, 3, and I'm sorry, I messed that up. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the half step. What do you know? That's back to the box we know and love, called the Dorian This is our 4-square box actually here, with our root note there. Of the parent scale, might not be the actual root note. Like for example, I'm going to jam a little bit here, and when this is done, just show you how it works. And I won't choose this as the root note. I think I'm going to play off the 5 chord, which is, I think I'm going to make the ultimate drone note the 5, so that it'll give my sound what is number 5. Let's see. Ionian 1, Dorian number 2, Phrygian number 3, Lydian number 4, Mixolydian number 5. Get that simple order system in your mind, and you'll know what kind of flavor of sound we're going to get. And, you know, if this sounds quirky or this has a little different sound and you're wondering, well, how the hell did he make that, you know, make all the notes make that sound? Well, I'm not doing anything to the notes. I'm just using the right chord in the background to create a little sonic silliness there. Okay. So our 2 notes that make up Dorian are not playable because those are off the scale. So we just are limited to that right there. But otherwise, you are only missing a couple notes in this area. And for all intents and purposes, you could just turn that into a scale of that's a kind of a weird sounding scale. Let's play that really quick and hear what that sounds like. We've got, okay. So anyways, that didn't sound that great. I didn't think, wasn't very impressed with it, but it might have a use. That's inconsequential though. You're gonna hear me riff just using these concepts here, and hear what we can milk out of this scale over some, let's do some stuff here. I'm gonna get a beat going and play a chord and record it and see what we get. I just messed that up. But you'll have to deal with it. This is what you get when you go live. Let's try this all again. First of all, I want a different sound here, so give me a second to adjust my drum pedal. Okay, that was like probably really fucking horrible, but I think that A note was actually kind of annoying, but okay, so come up with your own chords based on the scale we made here. Let's see, what did we come up with? There's our root note, which is what, on the D of the sixth string. So our parent scale was in D, so just mess around recording some chords that come out of the D scale, play a D major chord or whatever, just to get used to hearing how all these notes sound against the chords. Try just kind of strumming, and you don't have to worry about I think I got a little complex there trying to mix everything with a beat and wasting your time with me trying to do all that, but to keep it simple, just kind of record yourself playing a simple D chord, major chord, seeing how all the notes fit together. But that'll be kind of vanilla sounding, so you can kick it up a notch by playing the E minor chord and going the 2, which is also, you should start to know, is minor Phrygian. And if this is all alien to you, now you need to know why gonna need to get started studying and take a little bit, learn something tiny each day, and over the course of you sticking with this, in a month's time you'll start to know enough to make it real interesting, and then it'll just snowball from there. And what I notice is even I'm always coming up with some new interesting safari hunt of notes to try to find some new information about something and see some other pattern. It's pretty cool, man, how it just goes on and on and on and on and on. At least it has for me, years and years and years. It hasn't stopped yet. So I guess I'll leave you with all this today, and won't bore you with any more. I've got one person watching, so cool. Hello, whoever you are. Thank you for watching. Oh, what, Red Walrus. I see that now. You forgot to fill in the F sharp on the large E string. Let's see. Oh, yeah, very good. Thank you. You rock, man. Thank you, Red Walrus. Are you reading the comments for this Q&A? Yes, sir. And how long ago did you write that? So doesn't seem like I missed you for that long, which I probably did, but all right. So thank you so much, Red Walrus, because you are the master. You are the master. You are the walrus. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Very good, very good. Superb. So you know the pentatonic and the diatonic boxes. So basically, yeah, then you're a little bit above this lesson, and that's cool. You can take this a lot more places. Got anything you specifically want to know? I think I probably lost you by now. Also, you're probably, I think you end up about 18 seconds behind what I say here from my broadcast, from my end, anyways. Well, what, Red Walrus Man, I thank you for commenting. I'm going to end this broadcast. And I thank you for joining. Appreciate it. Here, speaking of the F sharp on the E string, as a matter of fact, there's 2 of them, and they're both right there. So cool. Gives you a little more definition there. And to be honest with you, all you're really missing here is, I think, one large square, which occurs right there. We know that because there's a part of a square box right there, and they always link up in that corner, so it must be that big area. And look what fits in there perfectly. A square. and now you've nearly got everything. And you know, you need a couple notes right here and here, and you know, at the top of the square, note always connects at this top corner and it connects at this bottom corner. Very good. So let's mimic that right here. Straight down from there, your mixolydian note. Oh, I'm sorry, your aeolian note. I mean, it's not really a note, but if you, well, basically, okay, this is the sixth of the scale. If that's the root, that's the sixth. And then this would be the fifth. Did I do that right? Something's not right about that to me, to my eyes, but, oh yeah, that's because that's the, we're dealing with the, no, we're not dealing with a string shift. What are we dealing with here? Oh. Yeah, never mind, that's definitely the sixth. Because it's the fifth, that's the fourth. And, yeah. Right. So, Scooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now. I guess I appreciate that everybody who watched and everybody who will watch. My thanks to you. Like and subscribe. And my thanks to everyone who already subscribed, and leave some comments. Ask some questions. Remember to scroll down to the description box below. We're also on Facebook, where you can ask some questions, and on Twitter too. So we're trying to branch out in all places here. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Have a great day.